but we're all in the dark here. All in the dark here. We're all in the dark here, pretending that the lights are on. We all know the song. We all sing along. We all know it's wrong, but it's so much We all know the song. We all sing along. We all know it's wrong. We all know it's wrong. We all know it's wrong. We all know it's wrong, but it's so much fun.
Yeah, that could be a metaphor for for good old Dex here. Hello there. Good evening. Good morning. Part 3 coming at you, reacting to every episode ranked. Every episode, of course, only considering season 1 through 8. We're about 50. The top or no, the bottom 50 we're at. Not Dice says hat does not match shirt. It's brown. It's I've done this stupid thing that maybe 4 people keep track of, and it's the yellow hat with the yellow shirt means I'm playing a character, or Sigmund for comedic effect. And for those people, I don't want to break that character. But this is brown. It is a it's on the scale. If you keep getting darker from yellow, you can get to brown. And again, more faces that I do not recognize. King Matthew, what's going on? Which seasons of the ranking of Dexter will we start off with? Because I missed the first 2 parts. No, it's not seasons. It's every episode. A lot of season 8 in that bottom 20. A lot of season 6 and 7 in that bottom 30. We've had a couple of season 3s, a couple of season 4s, a handful of 2s, and if I'm being honest, a couple more episodes from the first season that I would care to admit or align with, should I say? No need to stretch that far for explanation. Well, I don't think me wearing a hat that exactly matches this shirt would be like, hey, isn't that for character's sake? But yeah, it matches. It matches. If I didn't have these night lights behind me, it would be a little bit easier. Like if I made everything yellow behind me, I think the brown would kind of supplement that. Lone Wolf, what's going on? I'm glad to have you again. If you're watching this sometime soon after it uploaded, the intro isn't exactly an intro. Someone else replied to a comment stating that it's a placeholder for a stream. That's kind of what it is. Whenever I do live streams, depending on how many people are waiting for the thing to start, I'll have some sort of buffer to start the stream. Like you'll notice if I have larger following collaborations where Cody or someone is in the stream, the countdown period is only 30 seconds to a minute because there's people waiting to watch him. It's for a multitude of reasons. I try to get rid of it after the fact, after they done processing the stream. It's not meant to be an intro. It's meant to give people time to stroll in. And I apologize for that. It's just something that, because there's not like a proper, this is the stream. It starts Monday at 8 p.m. You be there, otherwise you're going to miss the beginning. There's no real true set in stone schedule. I'd like to give people time to get notified if that part works, and file in accordingly. Honestly, the first and second season of Dexter had no bad episodes, in my opinion, because they were the best seasons. I wouldn't have difficulty agreeing with that. Tonight's the night, indeed, and it's going to happen every night. Did you see the rumor that Bryan Cranston's going to be Dexter Resurrection Season 2? I saw that rumor too. Well, that's something that I feel like the internet has helped influence that. I think it's awesome. Like a huge Cranston Fran. The problem is, are they going after other cable actors? Because you had Game of Thrones actor in Resurrection Season 1. You're just gonna get all of the actors from shows that were competing with Dexter and have them play a role every season. The problem is, if it's not perfect, if it doesn't work, it's just going to remind me, oh yeah, Breaking Bad was a much better show than this. And I don't want to think like that. I don't want to be reminded of good or bad because of an actor. Like the assistant to Wallace, shit, I forgot his name. I know him as Nurse Jackie's husband, another Showtime show. They seem to cast quite a few ex cable show actors. Without knowing what his role is, it's hard to get excited. Like, he could be brought in to, I don't know, be Harrison's teacher at school, and he's in like 2 episodes. Like, that's a lot of hype without knowing anything to get behind. I kind of want Aaron Paul more than Brian. Is it wrong to say that? No, it's not wrong to say that. I would have less expectation with Aaron Paul than I would Bryan Cranston. And I hate saying that, like, oh, this actor's in it, therefore it must be great. And that's not fair. It's a different team, different people writing, different people directing. So I guess for my sake, Aaron Paul would give me lower expectations. And I'm not saying that as like some sort of slight against him. Bryan Cranston, the internet is thinking, oh, it's Walter White versus Dexter. And I don't know. I've seen one too many versus movies to realize that never really works out. See Alien versus Predator, see Freddy versus Jason. The fandoms get a little silly about that shit. And if I'm being honest, I feel like the filling of Walter White is a more rewarding experience for a character. Dexter's a great character. But I think we had a better arc with Walter White, and you really started hating Walter White by the end there. There's no stretch where I feel like they're trying to make us hate Dexter, and genuinely, he's not a hero. I realize some people have an issue with me saying he's not a hero, but me saying he's not a hero isn't me saying he's evil. But he's not a model citizen either. People who have been innocent have died either by his hands or because of actions he's taken. That does not make him the hero of the story. I'm sorry to say that. It'd be cool to see Brian in Dexter Resurrection Season 2 because then technically we would have Walter White end up on Dexter's table because Walt definitely fits the code. But it's not Walter White. Unless somehow they do some sort of thing that it is Walter White. It's a lot of pressure. Oh, hey, look at this guy. Cody says, if I was trying to figure out what BC means. Bryan Cranston, the actor who plays WW, is the Ripper. The producers of Dexter definitely watch my channel. That's the only thing. um, speaking of aliens, did you like Alien Earth? I have not. I watched one episode and I decided that's a show that I'd like to binge. Seems mixed from what I saw online. I think Adam Does Movies didn't like it either. Gray enjoyed it, and Gray's a big Alien stan, so I don't know, multiple opinions I've heard. I actually hated Jesse more than Walter in Breaking Bad because Jesse's the one who caused the problem with Gus in the first place. Walter White needed money to make sure that his family was okay. And he got that money and then some, and then some, and then some, and then some, and decided, you know what? I like being this drug lord thing way more than I want my family to eat, and became an awful human being. So I don't know. Jesse was, a low ranking drug dealer who, looked up to Walter White. And at a certain point, he figured out that just how toxic Walter is. I don't know if, listen, you could be having fun. But what Walter White did to Jesse's girlfriend and everything that happened with Walter doing things specifically to Jesse. I don't know. You put me in Jesse's shoes as if this weren't fiction. I don't know if I can hate that guy. And now we're talking at Cody in the chat. I think the producers of Dexter watch a lot of shit, and considering Cody's influence, you're not making the right thumbnails. That's all I'll say, Cody. You need to incorporate more white backgrounds, red boxes, and say something that is either completely foreign or rather obvious. Something like, Rita is the Ripper or something like that. But the red box has to have something that like really catches your attention. Like, oh, the Ripper is Rita. Ooh. I think they're in tune with a lot of Dexter content creators. And that's where if they do, I don't know how I'll feel, Cody. If I don't, I think I part from Cody on this, where I don't want the New York Ripper to be that big a deal. He's out of practice. And they make it Bryan Cranston. Like, then it like retroactively makes me pissed about this season, where it's like, oh, you've made it Bryan Cranston, and now there's all of this shit that I don't know that we could have known. I don't know. I guess you could fill us in on things. I don't know. I guess because I'm of the mindset of just let the Ripper be something, whatever. Bryan Cranston automatically makes it like the thing that the internet made it. And so yes, I guess I would agree with your sentiment. Making one now with me next to Walter White saying, "I knew." I'm in on it. Yeah. I try to avoid all of the buzz and the news and everything, because I actually enjoyed this season. I saw limited clips. If I had seen, I remember J-Dev who was talking about something with one of the actors. I think it was David Dastmalchian. And there was a rumor that David Dastmalchian was the twin of what's her tits. And I don't know, I had that in the back of my head, and what we got, I'm much more pleased with. I don't know how I felt about the idea of them being brother and sister or something like that. Turns out he was part of a twin group, but that was far more interesting than them two. But it's another reason why I try to avoid the hubbub, the fuss that happens on the internet, because if it's wrong, like it was, you're you have some sort of predetermined expectation for something that wasn't ever supposed to be to begin with. So if you're let down by the fact that it isn't that, is that fair to the show? Because it wasn't supposed to be that way regardless. And I guess we all contribute to this in multiple ways and shapes. If we set up expectations and a thing doesn't match it, the show is showing us, it's giving us what we're supposed to take. What we do with that information is I don't know. I don't want to get deep in this. I've seen leaked casting that Vincent D'Onofrio is a New York Ripper. I think another rumor, but that would be a huge casting. See, like that, I'm happy that you guys are all fired up about that shit. But considering they're retroactively trying to make New York Ripper a big deal, where's he been? And what are they gonna like make him back to practicing? Or I don't know. I guess I'll hold off expectations without experiencing it. Like it could be like if it's a guy who's retired and he doesn't do any kills or anything, and then you catch up with him and it's just 2 or 3 episodes and they catch him and he confesses to something and it's actually like a this connecting piece to get you somewhere else. Do you want Vincent D'Onofrio or Walter White to be this non-active person that like gets arrested and has I don't know. I feel like if you're gonna have an out excuse me, an out of practice serial killer, maybe have them. I think this is a me thing. The more I work it out with bigger name actors, I would expect them to be a little bit bigger a deal. I've seen. I kind of agree with some of these statements people have made about Resurrection. So many big name actors that kind of had one episode, one and done for the most part, and I sort of agree with that. Like Kristen Ritter, she had a little bit of an arc, but that's a strong enough actor to be like in the entire season. So I don't know. I think knowing the actor, like if you bring Bryan Cranston in and he's just like a 1.5 episode guy, I'm going to be bummed out about that. I don't think they're retroactively making him big deal. They just didn't make any hard commitments in episode 10 until they figured out what they're doing and who they're casting. I don't know if I agree with that, Cody. But why would they have it be such a big deal if they weren't? I don't know if they didn't know what they were going to do with him. Why would they continue to bring him up like that? That seems sloppy. Dexter was an actor for 10 years. It's weird, Cody. I think I can. I'm a bit sympathetic to chat now because I'm reading your comments with snark, and I have to like tell myself that's Cody saying that. So why don't you read it as if it's Cody's voice? But I read it quick, like Dexter was an actor for 10 years, and I have no reason to read that way. But, yeah, Dexter was an actor for 10 years. Yeah, well, I guess. I don't know. We don't have Dexter New Blood from someone else's perspective. I get your point. And I don't know why I read it with such snark. To be fair, it wouldn't be the first time Dexter had a huge casting. Remember, John Lithgow cast it as a Trinity Killer. But the Trinity Killer was something we experienced for the first time. Granted, Lundy came back and was like, oh, I'm going to give you the lore on this guy. But Dexter, season 1, 2, and 3, we knew nothing of the Trinity Killer. John Lithgow came in. He had a history, but they told us about it then. I don't know. It's hard without seeing it. It's hard to tell you what my expectations are because if it is Bryan Cranston and they do the Trinity thing, like I'm retroactively thinking of New York Ripper as like, oh, Bryan Cranston. I guess I'm hoping that him as the actor wouldn't be the guy that like rips out guts in people because that's what the Ripper did. I don't know. It's hard to what if. Getting Vincent would be cool. We have him in Kingpin already. I'd be down for another one. I would potentially love David Tennant. See, now that like we're just dreamcasting again. They would need to go back to the 12 episodes. That way they have plenty of time to build a Ripper up next season. I agree it's sloppy, but I don't think it's suddenly. Excuse me. I don't think they're suddenly going to cast someone huge for it just because the internet took off with it. I guess that's what I'm getting at. Read with extra snoring. I will do that next time. Well, yeah, I'm one. You'll know, forgetting Bryan Cranston. You'll know they read the internet if somehow Jonah gets brought up, because that was a flaming fire for a couple of weeks there. I'm of multiple perspectives on the Ripper thing. I could never hear from him again and be fine, and then I could be bitter for something if they're like, oh yeah, by the way, here's the biggest thing ever. It's actually Brian Moser. Like, wait, what? It wasn't a big deal. It served a purpose. Now they're playing into it. If they go there, it pretty much negates the whole idea they had multiple seasons planned, at least confidently. Sick Jason cup. I got a Carnage cup. Yeah, it's when you have the packets, it takes 2 packets for instant coffee. So that's cool. Anything if I could drink out of a bathtub, I would. All right, so let's carry about the festivities. We're at number 50. I think he's officially ranked at least 1 episode in every season. I said it yesterday. The glaring one to me is episode 109, which is episode 9 of season 1, at 57th overall. I think mid-tier season 1 is better than god tier season 6, season 8, season 5. I would rather have any episode in season 1 over the best episode in season 5. Season 7, I can't say that because I kind of enjoy season 7. When it's good, I appreciate it. When it's bad, like that airport thing where Dexter takes out a guy in customs and luggage or whatever. I'm sorry. No, I've been to many an airport. You're not being able to not scout that location and just do that in the middle of a work day. No, that's sloppy. But that too is season 7. So King says episode 9 of season 1 is definitely better than all of season 6. Yep. I don't think I think he has all of season 8, all of season 6 in like the bottom 30. Are you writing down each episode he covered to see what's left? Yep. So there, in case you want a little, don't mind these things. That's just telling me where the time code was of the video that I needed to pause. But yeah, I'm keeping track for a number of reasons. I'm topsy-turvy on whether or not I would like to tackle something like this. I don't know if I could. I had an idea yesterday of maybe doing all of the storylines ranked. Cody has the tier list of all characters ranked. I was going to throw my hat into that ring. It's funny, I have a lot of ideas and I'm not committing to any of them, but I have to be more proactive about taking notes and then labeling them to let me know in the future, this is what these notes are for. I forgot to tell you, me and my wife finally had the baby the other day. She went into labor a few days ago. We are now back at home with baby. Oh, congratulations. Oh, just missed it being an October baby. That I obviously health and happiness and safety first, but another couple of days, it could have been an October baby. This is going to start right away. All right, so I have to get it to 204, 48.
This was obviously caused by his recent killing of Brian, which he just can't seem to get out of his head. Dexter going to Paul's funeral makes him realize that it's okay to let go of people, and here we get a really cool Ghost Brian that doesn't appear again until season 6, and is actually the precursor to Ghost Harry if you think about it. Dexter finally lets go of Brian and finally finds and murders little Chino, which is pretty satisfying after everything that happened. I'm not a serial killer, trust me. Number 50.
Yeah, okay. All right, so we're caught up. This is where we left off yesterday. I don't see how you could actually rank it all. You'd have your bottom 10 or let's say 20. How is 49 better than 48? It's got to be a blur at some point. I'm of that mindset. Like, it'd be hard at a certain point for me to be like, I don't know what makes this better. So that's why I came to the conclusion of, if I ranked storylines, I could with firm understanding tell you I preferred this over that. And here is the reason why. It's close, sure. This one's number 38, but this one's 37, and here's the reason why I like 37 more than 38. Yeah. Just want to say I loved your finale ranking. Wonder if Cody would ever do that. He did. He did do that. I think we did it together. Are you trying to get Cody to pay attention to you in the chat? Because he did do that. All right, here we go. Number 50.
All in the Family. This is season 3's lowest rated episode on IMDb, and I cannot disagree more. It's the best episode up to this point in the season. In the previous episode, Dexter dealt with the PD getting off of Freebo's trail, but there's still someone focused on Freebo, who is, of course, Ramon. The reason why I like this episode so much more than 303 is because the ways in which Dexter gets Ramon off of Freebo's trail are so much more entertaining.
Good camera shot, too.
Throughout the episode, Dexter basically...
Hey, remember good camera shots in Dexter prior to Resurrection?
And I hate to use this term, rage baits Ramon. It starts when Dexter shows up to a bar that Ramon is getting drunk at, and he just doesn't stop talking. Ramon already very obviously doesn't like Dexter, so every time he talks, Ramon just gets angrier and angrier, and it's very entertaining. Next, Dexter makes multiple anonymous tips to Ramon, which say that Freebo is in town, which gets Ramon to show up to the PD and basically make a fool of himself in front of everyone. Then the nail in the coffin is when Dexter goes to Miguel and says that he's ready to tell Ramon that Freebo is dead. When Miguel calls Ramon to meet up with him, the guy is screaming and drunk out of his mind. Miguel and Dexter show up to the bar Ramon is at, and he's now fed up with everyone, including Miguel. And Dexter's just the cherry on top. Once Miguel and Ramon start fighting, Dexter exits the bar and tells some random guy that Ramon is sexually assaulting some lady, which causes Ramon to get into a fight, making Dexter's plan come to fruition. I always like when Dexter has to get more complicated with his schemes, and they're satisfying to see come together. Especially when it's not apparent what the scheme even is until after it's done. Over at the PD, we have Betsy Kittleman crying about her dead boyfriend, who she very clearly murdered. She's hyper-fixated on how amazing her boyfriend is, and she cries basically every time the murder is mentioned. Deb tries to talk to her, but it turns into a mess every time, and Quinn has to step in, who calms her right down. I like Quinn getting characterized more, which adds to the secret of what kind of cop he is, but this does come at a cost, with more boring Anton and Yuki scenes. And even though Betsy is lying about everything, the way she describes her boyfriend...
Dude, and Betsy kind of looks like Christine. Man, the casting crew of Dexter, they have a very particular look that they just keep emulating over and over again.
Friend actually helps Dexter with his proposal.
Look, that's Trinity's daughter.
To Rita at the very end of the episode, which is of course an amazing scene that's hard not to get chills to. One of the better season 3 episodes for sure. Number 49. Talk to the Hand. Alright, let me get it out of the way so we can talk about how good the rest of this episode is first.
Alright, hold on. Alright, so I incorrectly assumed that his ranking of episode 9 in season 1 was higher ranked than anything in season 6 or 8. Very clearly, that's incorrect. All right, well, let him cook.
First, Deb's therapist making Deb think that she's in love with Dexter is the stupidest pre-season 8 thing in the entire show. It even puts the Lewis subplot to shame. This therapist has been very helpful this whole season, and then she just randomly decides to convince Deb that she's in love with her fucking brother.
If you want, having therapy in art, in movies and television, is something of a shortcut. You should be able to give the audience what the character is feeling through some sort of other visual aid. Having Ghost Harry is a good way to do it. But if you want to see how a show actually can do something rather hacky in having therapy, yet do an amazing job of it, watch The Sopranos. Watch The Sopranos, just the therapy scenes, and then watch Deb in therapy scenes too, and then let me know what the difference you notice is.
You can't even blame Deb for somewhat believing this because she's genuinely so lost in her life and is just listening to a trusted figure, but that dream she has where she makes out with Dexter might be bottom 5 scenes in this entire show. Anyways, Travis realizes that Angel coming to his house to try to catch him must mean that Wormwood has to take place at Miami Metro PD. While Travis has Angel tied to a bed, he tells Doomsday Adams' wife to take a lethal device to Miami Metro and make sure Deb is around while it goes off. Then Travis sets the room Angel is in on fire right before Quinn barges in, who is able to stop the fire and save Angel. Maybe the first genuinely good thing he's done all season. To continue the streak of Travis's failed missions, Beth goes into Miami Metro, and while walking into a room with Deb, she sets off her device. Dexter luckily realizes who she is literally as she's walking with Deb, so he's able to push her
Oh, and her bag's smoking, by the way, too.
into an empty room, lock it, then pull a fire alarm to make sure nobody else is poisoned. And he kind of just watches Beth cough up blood and suffocate, which is honestly one of the crazier kills Dexter has in this show. Obviously, she was the one to set the device up, but the way Dexter locks her in a room and watches her die is just so despicable. He rarely even acts like this at all in this season, so this was a great kill in my opinion. Dexter is slightly
I think it's more isolating the bomb than anything. It's a very charitable way to view that.
affected by this, and the doctors tell him to go to the hospital, but in good old Dexter fashion, he says no, and he decides to go after Travis instead. He vandalizes a Christian monument and leaves hints for Travis, then sends Travis a video with his boat in the back, so Travis knows where to go. Later,
Yeah, the show towards the end, especially, very clearly understood how religion is important to people, and and really made it a character at a certain point.
at night, Travis shows up at the boat, but Dexter starts feeling the side effects of the device, and Travis is able to win their fight, kidnap him, and tie him to a boat surrounded by fire in the middle of the ocean. While this doesn't end up hurting Dexter, he's still stranded at
Troy says, I see no difference. Maybe I'm slow. You said it, not me. But if I remember correctly, Melfi was completely on board with Tony banging Janice. Oh, okay. I had to read that 2 times. Like, wait, was? Yeah. Well, it's subtle the way it's said in Sopranos.
and is letting Travis get to Miami alone, which puts a lot of people's lives at risk. So it was still a pretty cool scene to watch. I also gotta mention Travis drawing Dexter's face onto Satan. So stupid, yet so funny.
And another repetitive thing done in Dexter. The painting Dexter's face on a wall thing that happened in season 2. Why do they go to their own bag of tricks for these things? Like, we don't have anything to put here. What do we do? Oh, how about we break out the old paint Dexter's face on a painting thing again?
This is also
For the record, I would kill for either of those paintings. The one that Lila did, like that looked like it covers a complete wall. Emily has offered to try to do that, which is intense, but they repeat their own tricks quite often.
the episode where Maria backstabs both Matthews and Deb. Please don't ask about us at Maria Defenders HQ. We've sadly shut down. Still a really great episode, though. It is time for the interlude. There should be chapters in the description. I'll also put a timestamp on screen.
Interlude?
A vague timestamp of when this interlude is over. So always in my interludes, I do a mini ranking. In my Breaking Bad, Better Call Saul videos, I did ranking every season. So we're just going to keep that going. Ranking every Dexter season. Not including New Blood or Original Sin or Resurrection. Resurrection comes out in like 2 weeks at the time.
He did this prior to Resurrection starting. Resurrection just finished its 10-week run. He was doing this before it started.
Me recording this. So again, like I said earlier, if you guys want me to do a spin-offs video when like Resurrection and Original Sin end, I'll do that. And then
I would say to take them and squish them together. Rank them all together.
I'll do an interlude in that video where I'll rank every single season. But for now, we're just doing the 8 seasons of Dexter. Coming in at number 8 as a surprise to, I don't know, like maybe there's like one person that will be surprised by this. It is Dexter season 8. It is the only season of the show that I just genuinely don't like. Like, you know, obviously there's a few episodes that I think are alright in season 8, but like overall, it's not a good season. Evelyn Vogel, terrible character. Oliver Saxon, awful villain. Just as a final season in general, it's just terrible. Bringing Hannah back, worst thing they
Troy says, I love me some Dexter, but they repeat things because as presented, it was a 4, maybe 5 season story at best. Yeah. I don't know. Like I I feel like they're trying to do everything. They're trying to make as much content for Showtime as possible, because Showtime, if they had their way, I'm sure that they would want it to go for 20 seasons as long as people are watching. Um, and I think on the art perspective, wouldn't you want to like go hard for like 3 or 4 seasons and have this? I don't know. I keep going back to something like Breaking Bad, even Sopranos. That was a chubby 6 seasons, but it seems like anything that's great doesn't go far past 6. So I don't know. I would kind of have a meeting of the minds and figure out what is the most challenging here. What's the best for the story? What's the best for the character? How can we do something really awesome here? Not, hey, what's a good idea, but we need the thing to last. So we'll do the good idea, but then back out of it as quickly as possible because we don't want to have to explain it because we don't know how to do that. I've talked to a content creator about how Resurrection should end. Should end? I don't know. They killed off a character that I would have had lock him up or arrest him. So should? I don't even know if I have that answer.
Could have done, I guess besides fucking murdering Dev in the last episode. The writing just takes a complete dip in quality in the season, but it just doesn't make sense. I mean,
He said maybe they should try heroic death for Dexter. Yeah, Cody and I said it a while back. Sacrificing the second rule of the code to, rule number 1 of the code is don't get caught, and rule number 2 is no innocence. Have something where he gets caught, if only to save an innocent. That's sort of heroic, but that also includes him being caught. So I don't know. I don't have the right answer because God knows with how fragmented the Dexter fandom is, any decision that's made, you're going to get at least like 15 to 25% of that group who's going to hate it.
Season 7's so well written for the most part, and then season 8 is, I don't know what fucking happened, but yeah, it is a sad excuse for a final season of Dexter. I even think New Blood did a much better job closing Dexter's story, but I'm going to give season 8 a low 6, bordering a high 5.
That is favorable.
Out of 10. I think you could tell that I don't like season 8 by the fact that I literally have already talked about every single episode from season 8. Number 7, again, pretty unsurprisingly, season 6, but I need to stress this. The gap between season 8 and season 6 is huge. I know a lot of people just don't like season 6. I personally think it's a great fucking season. Season 8 is not good. With season 6, even though it's the second worst, it is still leagues better than season 8. I would say season 6 is closer in quality to the highest rated season than season 8.
That's fair, but if you were doing a tier list, if 8 is F tier, 6 is E. I don't think it's that far separated. I'm from the future. Resurrection lasts 6 seasons and ends terribly again to complete the trifecta. I believe that. Where do I put my money to bet on that? I believe that.
How far away season 8 is from everything else, in my opinion. The thing with season 6, I just don't think most of it is necessary, if you know what I mean. Obviously this is in the very final scene, Dexter catches Deb and whatever, but if we're being honest, the least happens in season 6 out of every season. Even season 8, much more happens than season 6. Travis, he's a cool villain. He's actually a really cool villain. I like him a lot, but he's not too threatening. There's never really a point in time, I guess, besides when he's about to fucking throw Harrison off the roof of a skyscraper.
Yeah, so season 6 tries that thematic thing where religion is the theme of the season. Last time they did a thematic thing was probably New Blood, where it was sins of the father, and the theme of New Blood was characters who paid ultimately for sins of the father. Trying to think the last time that happened as well. Yeah, they tried to do the theme thing, and it really didn't work very well.
that you're like, oh shit, I think Travis actually might defeat Dexter here. He's not on that Trinity level or Brian level. I still really like him though. I thought his the performance was good. The twist was good with Geller. The subplots in this season are not really interesting at all. Quinn being drunk the whole time, like, sucks. Look where this subplot sucks. Debs is actually really good. Deb kind of carries the season in my opinion. I prefer Deb's shit to Dexter's, but then, you know, Angel, obviously the terrible Masuka subplot with Lewis. I didn't even mention the subplots in my season 8 segment. They're terrible subplots, but I've already talked about most of, or all of season 8 actually. But yeah, you know, besides just a few things, season 6 was not necessary. They could have probably condensed the important things in season 6 in like 2 episodes probably, and it would have, the end goal would have been the same, you know. But I still do think it was very well done for the most part. I'm going to give season 6 a low 8 out of 10. Coming in at number 6.
Whoa. Or just giving out high scores like they're candy, huh? Season 6 is an 8 out of 10. I need to watch this guy's ranking of Breaking Bad. 8 out of 10 for season 6.
This might come as a shock to some people. I have season 5. I know a lot of people hold season 5 in a very high regard, like they would put in their top half of the ranking, and then a lot of people actually dislike season 5. And I've seen so many rankings that put, mostly on TikTok, on my group channel, the Odyssey, which I'll plug right here. Go subscribe to there. We do gaming videos, group channel videos, commentary videos. I want to actually do a tier list with my friend that did the Nebraska segment, where we go over terrible Dexter TikTok rankings, because there's just some awful
and see, I agree with that. As someone who's dabbled with TikTok stuff, this is what I'm saying. Like, there's bifurcation in the different communities in the Dexter fandom, and I have not, other than an 8 out of 10 for season 6, I don't disagree with, if we're not counting New Blood or Resurrection or Original Sin, 865 is my bottom 3. I don't really disagree. It's just the love and appeal of those seasons is something where I would kind of step away a little bit and be like, yeah, no, I agree with you, but don't get into specifics. Yeah, people, I don't know. Some of you guys in the chat, not you guys here now, but I've seen some things where people are like, season 6 is top 5. And I'm like, whoa, where are you getting that from? And there's some people that watch it like they just like only care about awesome Dexter kills, and and I get that, like, that's awesome, but there doesn't really, the stories don't matter to you at that point. Like, if you're just watching a horror movie, like a slasher run around and kill people, I guess none of it would matter anyway.
Shit on there. Okay, I have a few problems with season 5 for sure, but the two main ones are, one, I feel like Dexter kind of, Rita literally just got fucking murdered by Trinity because of him. The episode after her funeral, he goes back to just killing people. And it's like, okay, like, I wouldn't want Dexter to just stop killing people, but if he's gonna continue to kill people, there should at least be something in, like, the middle of Rita dying and him continuing to kill people that makes sense, him fighting the urge. Or
I wonder, so if he released this or edited this video prior to Resurrection starting, I wonder if this, well, I don't even know if my season 5 video was up yet. Beginning of the end. I have a 20-something minute video about how season 5 is the beginning of Dexter really sucking. I subtitled the beginning of the end. And this is kind of what I get to the point. What my main gripe of season 5 was the fact that, you have this giant storyline. Dex, never mind the fact that Rita gets caught. Dex is kind of, people are suspicious about him doing this because, 9 times out of 10 when a wife is killed, it's the husband. They could have, like, rode that storyline for a very long time, and to just have this great piece of conflict only to just kind of step away from it within 2 or 3 episodes. A big misstep. So I'm not implying that this person watched my video and is now saying that, but I just think it's interesting. if anything, I'm making the defense for him that he couldn't have because it wasn't even up yet. So at the very least, we agree quite a bit on season 5.
Something, but no, he's kind of just like, I need to kill. Like, it's a little stupid. And the other main problem I have is not Lumen specifically. I know I talked a little bit about how I think she's a little annoying in the beginning, but she does grow on me a lot towards the end. I don't like how Lumen and Dexter were a couple. I don't think they should have been a couple. And then the fact that she just fucking leaves at the end is just so stupid. Besides that, though, I mean, listen, like that second half of season 5, where just they're one by one killing all of Lumen's abusers. Jordan Chase, they're pretty much just like chasing after him, and then it's awesome. It's sick. And then Aster comes back. It's amazing. I love the second half of season 5. I would give season 5 a mid 8 out of 10.
Holy fucking hell. Yeah, I agree with the principle of what's being said. But I think when people say Lumen needs to come back, I don't agree with that. But considering the fact that she's the only one that was kind of, didn't really pay a price, I guess if they ended up trying to bring Lumen back, because the fact that she left on her own volition and is someone that knows Dexter's secret, you have that like ace in your back pocket there. But for it to be Lumen, it's just like of all the characters you can have really shake Dexter to his core, Lumen? Ew. Ugh.
Moving on to number 5, we have season 3. Again, this is kind of a divisive season. I know a lot of people would probably be very surprised that I have this above season 5. And then a lot of people would be surprised that it's not in my top 4 because a lot of people only like the first half of the show, which is just bullshit. Again, as
I have not disagreed with the list. I have not disagreed with the scores. On the other hand,
much as I hate the narrative that the first 4 seasons are the only good seasons, it's like, yeah, like season 3 is, for like how little really is going on in season 3, the fact that it's still better than like multiple seasons of the show does go to show the writing was definitely better in the first half of the show.
Yeah. Again, I'll bring up one name, Melissa Rosenberg, who stopped working after the 4th season. It's a weird, ironic twist that Melissa Rosenberg stopped writing for the show right as the writing got really shitty, but I would argue maybe there's something to that that's direct.
Miguel. I'm sorry. Miguel is fucking incredible. He is such an amazing character. Jimmy Smits, so good in Miguel's role. I said this earlier, but if you don't like Miguel, you're not going to like season 3. And I know there are people that don't like Miguel, but I feel like most people do, and that's why most people do really like season 3. Obviously, Dexter befriends Miguel, and then they have this whole relationship throughout the season, which ends in Miguel dying and whatever, but like if we're comparing this to seasons 1 and 2, the shit that happened in those seasons, and even the season after this, season 4, there's like nothing happening in this season, but it is still so well done, episode to episode. And it is like the first season where you kind of get subplots that are not too interesting, like Angel and his girlfriend, or Maria and Ellen Wolf, or I mean the Quinn stuff, like the actual Quinn stuff is pretty solid, but the things relating to Quinn, like Yuki and Anton, really boring. Skinner is a terrible villain, but it's kind of made up all by Miguel. Like Miguel makes it all up because
Miguel is the actual villain of season 3.
You don't even consider the Skinner the villain, really. At least
I
I always considered Miguel the villain of the season, and the Skinner was just...
I should probably just wait for him to say the thing before I counteract it, because he said exactly what I've said a couple times.
Like the killer, because I guess there had to be a killer that season for some fucking reason. And I guess it gave Deb and Quinn something to do. Going into number 4, we have season 7. So this is another one that...
Yeah, I've agreed all the way.
I don't really know the full consensus on. Oh, wait, I forgot to score season 3. Strong... Oh, no, that's Anthony Fantano's scoring. High 8 out of 10. High 8 out of 10. I just wish they focused a tiny bit less on Hannah. I wouldn't want them to get her out of the season. I just wish they would have spent more time on Isaac while he was still there.
It's a shout out to Lost, the 2 dead bodies.
Because, you spend like 2 episodes like solely focused on Hannah, and then Isaac gets out of jail, and then it's like 2 episodes like semi-focused on him, and then he fucking dies. So it's like, And he was such a sick villain, and I think it was, I don't want to say wasted potential, because he was still a fucking great character, but I feel like he could have been one of the best in the whole show. Had he been in the season longer, or had they just given him more screen time. So I feel like it was a bit of missed opportunity, but he was still a super entertaining character. And yeah, this is the season where Deb finds out about Dexter, which is just crazy. I love like that kind of rehab thing that Deb has Dexter do until, you know, it ultimately doesn't work, because that's just how Dexter is. With Deb, as you know, she's a fucking lieutenant of homicide. She can't exactly focus on Dexter 24/7, so it was never gonna work out. And then I also like Deb getting more and more involved in what Dexter has going on with Isaac, or just with covering him up, because, you know, Maria is looking into him. And that's another thing. Maria looking into him is fucking awesome. Finally giving Maria a good subplot for the first time in forever. It's a really exhilarating season. You know, obviously Deb finding out that Dexter's the Bay Harbor Butcher in of itself is just insane. Finding out he's a serial killer, that whole shit was crazy. Super like fun season. Felt like a return to form a little bit. Not to say season 6 wasn't great, but it definitely was not close to the levels of the top 3 seasons, you know? So felt like a bit of a return to form, which sadly was completely thrown out of the fucking window in the next season, but that's besides the point. Yeah, I'm gonna go with a low 9 on season 7. Now we have the top 3. We probably predicted that this would be the top 3. You guys already know what 3 seasons these are, but maybe not the placements. So number 3, I'm gonna have season 2. I know a lot of people will consider this the best, and a lot of people consider this top 3 all the best. I personally would put it at the bottom of the top 3. I don't even have like
If he says because of Lila, so help me.
reason specifically for that. I would just say probably because, you know, maybe there's just like some slower episodes here and there, but that's it, bro. I don't know. I used to have a very big problem with Lila, who has grown on me a lot on my rewatch. I really enjoy her purpose now, even though, you know, she is a bit annoying sometimes. I mean,
Oh no. No.
bro, like Dexter having a fucking manhunt on him, it's just crazy. That whole concept is incredible. Him being the killer of the season is amazing. But again, there's not much really to complain. You have Lundy, who's such a great character. Dokes finding out about Dexter is like the best fucking thing in the world too. I mean, Dokes is easily one of the show's best characters, and him having a standoff with Dexter is incredible.
Dude, like this is where I think it'd be easier for me to rank like subplots, because Dokes and Dexter in the cabin, when Dokes is in the cage, and like the shift, the emotional back and forth that they're having, and Dexter, this is the first time he tends to be a bit more open later on in the series, but the first time Dexter really is like candid about what it is he does and how he feels. I don't know if there's a stronger moment as far as dramatically speaking is concerned. Those two characters, they have so much that they're giving and I guess taking as well. That subplot, that like little sub story was so strong. Like there have been times where I've just watched that, like those episodes, and not really picked up on anything before or after. That could be my favorite little sub story in the entire franchise.
Lila's manipulation of Dexter is amazing. It all happening at once. The manhunt, Dokes, Lila is just incredible. Again, I actually do kind of agree. It would have been better as a final season because, one, this is the season. If there were something to happen to Dexter in the show, it would have been this season. He does make it out by a lot of luck, but still. Yeah, obviously Dokes catching Dexter. That's right, motherfucker, it's over. Yeah, it's so good. It's just a crazy season. So much shit. This is probably the most eventful season. So fun to watch all the way through. Again, I'm gonna go a low 9 with season 2.
See, I remember watching this shit live. And when Lila, I think they had a cliffhanger when Lila finds the door or whatever, like they cliffhang her showing up at the cabin. And then she says, "Not you, Dexter," when he's like, I'll be fine. And she's like, "Not you, Dexter." Like that was, man, if I could bottle that energy, like that response I had, that was, you know, it's moments like that when you're watching a show that you're into, and it like really just punches you in the face with whatever that energy is. Shit, if they could bottle that, it'd be better than heroin. Um, it happened a couple of times, but like that was the first time I was like, oh shit, where are we going with this? And I don't know, I think for the like the gut punches, I think I prefer season 2 over season 1. I think.
All right, now this top 2, let me preface this by saying I literally have both of these seasons on the same exact level. I don't actually think that one of these seasons are better than the other. It's just down to personal preference. The season I have at number 1 versus the season I have at number 2. But
I'm gonna leave the stream for the night because it's late where I am, and I have to work tomorrow and have a good night. All right, you too, man. Thanks for showing up. Sorry, but a low 9. So the rating scale is basically to 100. Grow a pair and give a relatable score. And every season being well above average is ridiculous. Yeah, I agree with the ranking. The scoring is favorable. Yeah, it's one of those things. He very clearly is a young guy. It's one of those things that, if you've only watched 10 things and like 5 of them are awesome, you don't really have experience to know what mid-tier is. I don't know. I remember when I was growing up and I thought American Beauty was the best movie ever. That is not even in the conversation right now for me. I think the more you see things, the more you experience. Oh yeah, this is good, but it's not perfect. It's good, but it's not an 8 out of 10. All of these scores are silly and subjective, but I think with experience you get more of an understanding of, if you've watched 10 things, the scoring is one way. If you've watched 100 things, the scoring is different. If you've watched 1,000 things, the scoring is very different. I think it's just lived experience. I hate to gatekeep time like that, but
just so you know, I don't think the number 2 spot is actually any worse than the number 1 spot. I just slightly prefer the number 1 spot. But number 2, I'm gonna have season 4. I know it's like the Dexter season. People are gonna be, how is that not number 1? It very well could be number 1. All right, there's no argument to be made on why it couldn't be the best season. I mean, first of all, Trinity is, dude, that guy, he's up there with the Gus Frings. You know what I mean? He's up there with the Gus Frings for TV villains, and not even just TV. I think he's probably the scariest TV villain I've ever seen. Definitely scarier than anyone in Breaking Bad.
Dude, people sleep on John Lithgow as a bad guy. He's in a lot more than Harry and the Hendersons, people.
Like, Gus can be fucking scary, bro, but like Trinity's on a whole other level. Again, I haven't really talked too much about season 4, so I don't want to spoil my thoughts too much.
Troy says, I hate the 9.8 or 9.7, etc. You can rate things equally, let's say 4 out of 5, and prefer one over the other. You don't have to dice things up so much. I agree. But I understand. I don't know. If it weren't the internet, if we didn't have IGN, if we didn't have CinemaSins, I don't think people would think of subjective opinions like math the way they do now. I agree with everything you're saying, but if the score is only used to differentiate and let the audience understand through a number how something is greater than another, I get it. I'm with you, but at the same time, it's not harmless. I mean, it's not harmful. I hope.
But I mean, those last 4 episodes, bro, crazy. That's the best run.
Hey, last 4 episodes of season 4. It's interesting. The bookend there, episodes 9 and 12. Melissa Rosenberg writing. I can't words.
Show has Hungry Man, Lost Boys, Hello Dexter Morgan, and The Getaway. Like, how are you beating that? Most shows can't have a 4-episode run like that. I can't even think of Breaking Bad definitely has a few. I can't think of like Better Call Saul having a 4-episode run like that. And then
I need to watch that. I don't know what my excuse is.
Even then, Lundy's death is insane. I think Lundy is actually, this season made him one of my favorite characters for sure. And how it affected Deb, just incredible. It's one of the greatest seasons of television I think I've ever seen. I'm going a mid-9 with Dexter season 4. And number 1, if you have process of elimination, season 1 is going to be my number 1. I don't know what there is to say. Again, I haven't really talked too much about season 1. If I had to complain about season 4 at all, it would be, I guess, the Maria and Angel subplot. I just don't care about at all. 1 or 2 episodes like that whole thing with the...
Dude, you know what? You know what people sleep on? It seems like season 1 set the table, and every time they do something in the future, it's something that was born in season 1. The thing that gets slept on about season 1 that I never see people give credit to, the fact that Dexter likes bowling and is a bowler is traced to the fact that his blood father was heavy into bowling. And don't people ever give the credit there to that. And I thought it was a nice way to have the character connect to his blood father. And because we have that experience where they're emptying out the house, and Dexter kind of mocks the fact, or I think everyone in the house when they're cleaning it out mocks the fact that he's a bowler, only to later on have Dexter on a bowling team. In Resurrection, he goes out on a date to bowl, and he actually knows what he's doing. I think it's a nice way to tribute the character, and if you know, you know, and it doesn't feel like they're shoving fan service in there. And it's on. I don't know. It's puzzling that I don't see any content creators or anyone on Dexter TikTok or Dexter YouTube who give more credit to season 1 for that bowling aspect of Dexter. It's not a big deal, but it's a nice touch. I feel.
Neighborhood Watch, yeah, I don't care about that at all. Season 1, there's nothing really to complain about. I don't know. I think I have a thing for season 1s. You know, in my Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul videos, I rank the season 1s pretty high. Not, this high, but probably higher than a lot of others would. I don't know. I think season 1s are incredible most of the time, and bro, when you have a season 1 like this, it's just crazy. I'm just saying this season set up Dexter to be debatably the greatest TV show of all time. It didn't exactly stick to that. I feel like if this was one of the weaker seasons of Dexter, then 100% this could have been the best TV show of all time. But the whole, Angel, Masuka, Deb, LaGuerta, everybody, you get introduced to everyone. Dokes, Dokes is so great in this season. I mean, the main highlight of the season is obviously Dexter and Brian, but Dexter mostly because you get to know him, you get to understand his backstory. It's phenomenal. I've probably taken way too long on this interlude, but again, I'm gonna go mid-9 with Dexter season 1 because, like I said, I have seasons 1 and 4 at the exact same level. I just slightly prefer season 1 personally. I guess it wasn't too unpredictable, but I'm sure there was something. Number 48, If I Had a Hammer. The first episode where Dexter really starts to get to know Trinity. Dexter goes to a mass that Trinity is at and introduces himself as Kyle Butler. Arthur seems as innocent as can be and invites Dexter to help him build a house for homeless people. Dexter takes him up on this offer and he gets to see more of Arthur's family here. Specifically his son Jonah, who seems as happy as one could be with their
New York Ripper.
family. On first viewing, you definitely get weird vibes from everything in Arthur's life, but on rewatch, when you know the whole thing is a facade, it's just insane to think about how his life and his family life are the complete opposite of what's shown to the public, and I think that just adds to how scary Trinity really is. Trinity's mom.
You gave birth to a master manipulator.
Anyways, when
Did I put up that video yet where I talked about the cinematography in season 4?
Dexter is working the crime scene where Trinity bludgeoned a man to death, he tried cleaning up
Oh, I hate that I have something and I don't know if I've put it out in the world yet or not. I have no, because it's in season 7. So my season 7 video, I discuss how the first 4 seasons they use cinematography really, really well. There's shots throughout different episodes of season 4. I'm sorry, I'm picking at a scab. It refuses to go away, but I keep picking at it, so it's going to keep getting worse. In season 4, there's an episode where they use visuals to give you the idea that Dexter in society is in jail, and Arthur with his family is equally caged. I have the two shots in question. I know I have the reference points in a video. If I knew exactly where they were, I would just pull it up and show it to you. But whenever my season 7 video comes out, there's a clip where I talk about the cinematography, because in season 7, they use an awesome shot where Dex and Deb are talking in a hall, an alleyway, but the walls look like they're closing in on them. And it's a really nice touch to visually show us that, the walls are closing in on them. They're keeping the secret. They're at the police station, but you can visually show us what the emotion is. And it doesn't really happen that much in the later seasons, except for moments like that. But did you feel any characters in Resurrection besides Dexter, Harris, and Harry felt like potential series regulars? With Batista gone, the rest felt disposable to me. I'd love a grounded cast like the OG. He says Prater. Resurrection. I don't fucking care for Blessing. I'm sorry. I know people enjoy whatever that subplot adds to Dexter. I don't know. I like the idea that Prater presents, that there's this it's weird because a year ago I'd have been so against this idea, but the idea that there's this group of serial killers that meets and has fun every now and again for little, I don't know, outings. I like what the Prater universe could be, but other characters they introduced in Resurrection? No, I don't think so. Everything after 4 is pretty lazy, but it's fair to say it may be more of lack of skill than actual laziness. I would agree with that. I feel like season 2 could get there, but Blessing, Claudette, Elsa. Oh yeah, Elsa and the kid and this Melvin guy, all wasted space. Yeah, I feel like of anything, the chick from the college could be Harrison's girlfriend moving forward, which, yeah, okay. I'm fine. But I'm getting pissed off that all the OGs are getting killed off for reasons that don't really feel lasting.
Ashes that Trinity left behind, but Vince catches him and takes the ashes for testing. He comes back a few days later and says these belong to a woman, which helps Dexter connect them to Arthur's sister. Once Dexter is able to get into Trinity's house, he purposefully makes sure that Arthur sees him holding and looking at the ashes, which prompts him to choke and almost suffocate Dexter right before stopping himself. We of course have already seen some of Trinity's real horrors, but this is the first time that he can't even show his poker face while playing the nice guy character, which proves how much these ashes really mean to him. If Dexter had been some other guy that knew nothing about Trinity, then that guy probably would have stopped talking to him or would have called the police. He pretty much sacrificed his whole persona for those ashes. It shows how broken he really is. Although I have to say that the Deb subplot is even better in this episode. Deb is convinced that Nikki Wald shot her and Lundy, and she tells Quinn that she wants to testify as a witness. This is until Deb visits Nikki herself and scares the absolute shit out of her. But when she doesn't admit to it, then Deb knows she fucked up. This scene is genuinely insane. Deb is so fucked up about Lundy to the point where she's choking and threatening a lady behind bars just to get answers. Something that Deb would have never normally done. After this, Deb changes her mind about being a witness, and even tells Quinn that she thinks the killer Lundy was going after was the one that actually shot them. But Quinn, of course, doesn't believe her. You know, for Quinn being such a high-ranked detective, he isn't really the smartest guy in the world. There's also a subplot of Rita and Dexter going to therapy. There isn't really too much to mention here.
Therapy.
At the beginning of the episode, it looked like their relationship was about to end, and by the end of the episode, they seem happy. So, I think that's a good enough summary. Just a really great Season 4 episode in general, as is every episode of this season. Number 47. Si Si Puede. Definitely one of the more entertaining Season 3 episodes. This episode picks up after Miguel learns that Dexter kills more people than just Freebo. But he's really interested in this and wants to help Dexter kill.
So we're officially in the top half now. 47 is the top half out of 96.
People. Dexter really doesn't want to get anyone else involved in his murder rituals, so he tries scaring Miguel off by giving a terrible plan to capture and kill someone. But Miguel is insistent and agrees to Dexter's plan. A great way this is shown is by the shirts that Dexter and Miguel are wearing in this scene. Usually Dexter would be on the dark side, but this time it's actually Miguel, who is insisting on murder while Dexter is trying to stray away from it. At least in this case. Then the scheme takes place, which is super entertaining and easily my favorite part of the episode. Miguel coordinates a meeting with a neo-Nazi prisoner who looks exactly like that one neo-Nazi from Breaking Bad, and acts like him too, and gives him a key setting him free, and tells him to run out in the parking lot to Dexter, who Miguel refers to as a neo-Nazi, which gives us this funny-ass scene.
Welcome home, Heil Hitler.
I thankfully don't know any neo-Nazis in real life, at least to my understanding. So I'd love to imagine that they just praise the Austrian painter like their life depends on it. Obviously, besides the fact that it's hateful and abhorrent, if some of them act like this, then that's honestly really funny. But basically, as soon as this guy gets out, the police are already onto him. So he hides with Dexter, who injects him with tranquilizer, and talks to conscious Harry before leaving with Miguel. I'm actually yet to talk about the Harry scenes for season 3 at least, and they suck ass. Thankfully, in the later seasons, Harry is kind of just there. But since this was the first season where he's basically a ghost, I guess they had to make sure to differentiate between actual scenes and scenes inside Dexter's head, so they put this awful blurry filter and terrible voice effect on them, which makes them super hard to watch. Harry is also insufferable like he always is. To shortly mention a couple other subplots, Camilla is dying from lung cancer and in the hospital, which is super sad to see. She was always one of the more down-to-earth people in this show, and she really didn't deserve to go like this, but thankfully Dexter is taking good care of her and doing anything he can to secure the best key lime pie in Miami. And
Oh man, the key lime pie. Storylines. If I were to rank storylines, the key lime pie, shocker, wouldn't be in the top 10 for me. Although, holy shit, the writers would want you to think that that key lime pie is so important.
besides Dexter, I do really like Deb's plot as well. At the beginning of the episode, Dexter gets Deb to think that Ramon might be the Skinner. And I don't know if he genuinely believed this or just wanted Ramon to get arrested, but nevertheless, Deb pursues this and quietly gets permission from Angel to investigate him. Deb tails Ramon for a few days until witnessing him kidnap a guy and bring him to some building. So she follows and calls Quinn for backup. Ramon proceeds to threaten and literally torture this guy, but ends up cutting him loose, which proves his innocence on the Skinner part at least. But he's still arrested for like 4 crimes. This plot wasn't focused on too much, but I still thought it was really entertaining, and I always loved the Deb and Quinn scenes. This definitely has more action than most season 3 episodes, which is probably why it's one of my favorites from this season. Number 46. Remains to be seen. While nothing too important is happening in this episode, there's really no episode of Dexter Season 4 that isn't super entertaining. Dexter just got into his car crash and is immediately sent to the hospital. And the only problem that Dexter has with this is that the remains of Benny Gomez are in the back of his car. Once Dexter gets to the hospital, he confirms to the doctor that Barack Obama is president. And Dexter saying the words
Barack Obama
is really funny to me for no reason.
I think it's because they recorded that. That appears to be an ADR line. I think it's like who's the president, and I think this was recorded during. Was it close to an election or something where it could have been one way or another? It's very clearly an ADR thing. I might be wrong. Was it 2008 or 2012? It wasn't. I don't know. But yeah, sure.
Oh, and for the 0 people who asked, here's who each Dexter character would have voted for in the last election.
Kamala, but doesn't really care. Kamala always votes blue, but doesn't know who's running. Jill Stein. Kamala, flag above bed. Closeted Trump supporter. Kamala proudly attends every Trump rally in a 1,000-mile radius.
So, do with that what you will. Dexter then lies to Rita to get out of the hospital and spends the rest of the episode looking everywhere he can for Benny Gomez. You can just tell by the first few episodes how good this season is really going to be. Dexter dealing with a murder like this and spending this much time on it is something we haven't really seen since season 1. Which makes this and 401 feel more like a sitcom than the deep drama that Dexter is. Obviously, there's still things happening that matter to the plot and end up mattering later on, but for now it just feels like a really entertaining show about a killer without any complicated story. Which I feel like season 3 was going for at certain points, but didn't really hit the same marks as they were able to with these episodes. Anyways, Dexter checks his car, but only finds his kill tools, which worries him even more about where the body parts could possibly be. He spends the rest of the episode trying his hardest to get out of work in his house just to find Benny. But Maria forces everyone to work more hours on the new murders, so Dexter doesn't have much of a choice. Oh, and since I didn't cover 401, I didn't get to mention the fact that the GOAT Lundy has returned. And he's as likable as ever. He starts talking to Deb again to try and get info on the Trinity murders, but Deb takes it as him trying to hit on her again, especially when he invites her over for dinner, which she agrees to. Later, she shows up at his apartment and tries to confront him about coming back to Miami just to be with her, but he reveals that he's been searching for the Trinity Killer all around the world
How about a parka?
and believes he's in Miami, which is why he's there. Deb gets super embarrassed and leaves immediately, which shows that she's really the one who still has feelings for Lundy. And you can already tell that this isn't gonna end well. Back to Dexter.
So Troy says Dexter ain't got time to vote. His schedule's unbelievable as it is. No, yes. Although I would think whatever candidate would introduce the death penalty would not be something Dexter's favorable of for multiple reasons, because he wants the criminals for himself, and eventually he's got to think that someday his time's going to run out. So I think for personal reasons he would vote for the liberals, the loose progressive liberals.
He accidentally watches Quinn steal some money from a crime scene, which he does not care about at all, but Quinn clearly does, because all of a sudden he's apologizing to Dexter for yelling at him about his court performance and asking to talk with him,
And
but
Dolphins
Dexter just
tickets.
leaves every time to search for Benny. He goes to where the crash actually happened and finds nothing, then to the pharmacy where he also finds nothing. After this, he goes to the boxing ring where he actually killed Benny, but still nothing. Later on, he goes back to the ring and notices a drop of blood, which he already cleaned up before, making him realize that Benny was in the punching bag connected to the ceiling, finally revealing the secret of the episode. Again, it's not too important, but it's super entertaining. Then we have the obvious.
But they also talk, like you just showed the shot, the fact that Harry was giving Dexter a hint by being lit the way he was. Like that was a hint to Dexter, because Harry's in his subconscious, that, you know, the fact that he was being so strongly lit from above was a hint to his memory that Dexter was he remembered. He just needed to look near the lights. Like that was a nice touch that they did.
Highlight of the episode. Maria and Angel. They are dating, and Masuka's starting to notice. Oh yeah, there's Trinity too. He isn't doing much yet, but I like how the writers kind of ease him into the season, showing more and more of him each episode. And I say that to also say that him being this creepy already while being in like 3 scenes is a sign for how bad he'll be when he finally becomes the villain of this
You'll
season.
lose her.
Great episode overall. Number 45. Crocodile. The second episode of the entire show is debatably even creepier than the first. We see another kill done by the mysterious ice truck killer, which was found by Deb, and he cut a prostitute's fingers up into little pieces and froze them into a piece of ice. As creepy as this is, I honestly think Dexter is even creepier than the killer in this episode. Crocodile literally starts with Dexter watching people in the lake, and it's probably the most sociopathic you'll ever see him talk in this entire show. Even more minor things later on, like Dexter singing to Cody at night, is super creepy, especially with the way the show is shot and everything, and none of the other seasons even come close to capturing the vibe of this. Speaking of the cinematography, it's also something the later seasons don't exactly capture, since this feels like it's actually made
Shadows.
with passion, while the last few seasons kind of just feel corporate.
Yep.
Story-wise, Deb is moving up in the ranks of Miami Metro, finally being promoted to homicide, with LaGuardia somehow agreeing on it with Matthews. Maria has an insane vendetta against Deb that never really ends, and I feel like that makes her death even more tragic. Also, can I just mention how Maria and Angel will have complete conversations in Spanish, and the captions are just, you know, also in Spanish,
Speaks
so
in
I'm just
Spanish.
supposed to sit here and assume what they're saying to each other. Thank you, Netflix, as always. Deb also has a new boyfriend that goes on a double date with her, Dexter, and Rita, and they casually just make out right in front of the other two. I get that the scene shows that Deb isn't exactly great at picking the right guys to be with, but it's really awkward to watch. It definitely could have been toned down a bit. Before the date, Dexter is actually the one to suggest it, and Deb asks him what goes on in his head to think of going on a double date with his sister. And I'm not going to say much more than that. Dexter continues on with his murder spree in this episode, another thing very absent from the last season, and also continues with the cat and mouse chase with Rudy, which is probably the best one in the entire show. I know a lot of people would say it was with Trinity, but we know exactly who Trinity is from episode 1. With this season, it takes us a while before Rudy is even introduced, and the chase just gets better and better as the season goes on, with more being revealed. Number 44. Circle of Friends.
Can I have permission to run Masuka's prints as an ice truck killer?
No need for that. I'll give you some warm DNA right now.
There, a lot of season 1.
Oh, God, you're gross. I didn't hear that.
The ice truck killer has finally been caught, and he's some McLovin-looking ass guy named Matthew Perry. Dexter does not think this
Neil Perry.
guy is actually the killer, until basically all of the evidence connects right back to him, and he's literally caught burying dead bodies and holding
Oh, the internet's most try-hard Star Wars fan. What's his face? Shit.
sex workers hostage. While this is all happening, Dexter simultaneously finds out that a kid he saved a few episodes ago is now back to killing. So he tries to put him on his table until Doak shows up out of nowhere and arrests the kid himself. Once he's arrested, Dexter tells the kid to only kill bad people, and he ends up killing himself at the end of the episode. Dexter's really the only show where they'll make me feel
yes. Thank you, Sam Witwer. Yeah, anytime someone quotes him, I'm like, yeah, all right, there's more Star Wars fans than you. Thanks.
bad for a cold-blooded murderer killing himself, not gonna lie. The final scene of the episode is probably the best one, where Dexter goes to talk to the ice truck killer and ask him some questions. And before doing any of that, Matthew Perry says,
Fuck are you?
the smirk Dexter gives at the end makes this one of the best cliffhangers in the entire show. And it's a shame to see where this show ends up going with some of the worst cliffhangers I've ever seen in season 8 compared to this. Speaking on Perry though, as annoying as this guy is,
Whitwer was great in his role. I don't know if you're referring to Dexter or I think it's voice acting in Star Wars stuff, but I've seen a lot of clips that people reproduce of him where he's like arguing about things that should and shouldn't be in Star Wars. Dexter. Okay. All right. Never mind. I'll stop talking because
you gotta give him credit, because the way he framed himself as the ice
and yes, he was.
truck killer was pretty fucking brilliant. Literally all of the evidence pointed back to him. Yet again though, I think the writers did an incredible job in season 1 of balancing the quality of subplots, since I think Rita's is on par with Dexter's. Paul is officially
Season 1 has the best tone horror-wise, but it was like the first season of The Office. They realized they needed to lighten the tone, especially for the lead, if they wanted it to really continue. Yeah, I don't know. If you watch Resurrection, it's gotten dark again. This is where, like, trust the process, trust your audience. If you gained an audience from season 1, keep going.
back, and seeing how Rita reacts to this is honestly super sad. You can tell how uncomfortable she feels
It's Jacob.
with him being around. This guy is as much of a douchebag as you would expect him to be, especially when he says he feels sorry that Rita had to raise their kids all alone. I don't know, maybe you shouldn't have beaten her if you were really sorry. Rita goes to Paul's apartment later on and forces him to sign divorce papers like the badass she is, and he actually does sign them. Obviously he thinks he has tricks up his sleeve though. Dexter also interacts with Paul when Rita isn't home, and it's probably one of his most bad
The best television character actor right there. Jacob / Lucifer. If you've watched a show in the 2010s, 2010s, my man over here, Paul, has played a pretty crucial role in it.
ass moments, not including his killer life. Paul does a lame-ass fake-out punch to Dexter, and the guy barely even flinches. Insane aura. Deb doesn't do much in this episode besides catch Perry, but she does basically start her relationship with Rudy, so that's at least worth a mention. Amazing episode, though. Number 43. Circle Us. One of the
Season
first season
5.
5 episodes that genuinely feels like a Dexter episode. We're finally introduced to this season's main villain, Jordan Chase. There's technically like 5 of them in this season,
Yes, he was Lucifer in Supernatural. Yes. He's also in Being Human, actually Small World. There are good character actors that once you notice them, as far as crews, cast and crews are concerned, they want people they can count on that are pretty proficient. The dude's also in Big Lebowski. He's one of the guys that shows up in the bathroom. It's funny that great character actors on television can't quite crack movies, but shit, I don't need any other. Him as Jacob in Lost, if he never did another thing again, I would give so much credit for that. But he's that solid in a ton of shit that he's in.
but Jordan Chase is the one that everyone remembers. He's definitely nothing compared to Trinity, but he's much better than the tree skinner. Not that that's saying anything, but I digress. I know some people aren't a fan of him and aren't a fan of season 5 in general, but I really like Jordan Chase. He's like Trinity in that he hides in plain sight, but it's taken to a whole nother level, since he's literally a celebrity. He also has my favorite catchphrase out of all the Dexter villains.
Tick, tick, tick. That's the sound of your life running out.
Once Jordan Chase's shit is found in a car that crashes and the corpses of 5 women fall out, he goes to the police station with Cole Harmon to clear up any confusion. At first it seems like Cole is the real villain, but it becomes clear later on that they both had a lot to do with the Barrel Girls. I do really like the scene of Jordan Chase coming into the PD, especially when Masuka fanboys over him. Dexter gets pictures of Jordan Chase and Cole to show Lumen, and she recognizes Cole but not Jordan.
No, I mean, that guy's clearly a freak, but
I think she jokes about Masuka.
I don't know him.
No, not the bald guy, the guy beside him.
Dexter then plants evidence of Boyd Fowler on the car so the police focus on him instead of Cole, which makes him free for Dexter and Lumen to kill him. This works and they end up breaking into his house and steal a picture that reveals who Lumen's other abusers were. While Dexter's not killing anyone yet, this still just feels like Dexter. The creepiness and the playing with evidence, it's all there. Lumen is also thankfully not as annoying here. I still wouldn't go as far as likable, but she's not pissing me off anymore. Then there's the Miami Metro subplot, which I would say is probably even better than Dexter's. They do a follow-up sting investigation to the previous one from last episode, this time with a new CI that Angel picked up from the last sting. Her job is to get the killers outside of the club so Angel and Deb can arrest them. The CI gets in the club and realizes that the killers are already there. She goes to the VIP section where the killers are to talk to them. And then Deb's cop lady friend is called by one of the killers to go there as well. Deb, Quinn, and Angel all tell her to stay where she is, but of course Maria pushes her to go up there. Basically, as soon as she gets there, the killer realizes that she has a wire and pulls out his gun, fatally shooting the CI and almost the cop as well. Deb gets to where the killer is, and she's finally given another opportunity to shoot him dead, which she thankfully takes in this awesome scene. I just really enjoy watching police investigations like this, and Deb's kill is super cool as well. After this, Matthews gets mad at Maria, but she tries to pretend like the whole disaster wasn't completely her fault. It's moments like these where Maria defenders like me just sit in the corner. Very well balanced and entertaining episode. Number 42. Slack Tide. One of the lower rated season 4 episodes on IMDb, but I honestly thought it was amazing. In this episode, Dexter is given multiple chances to murder Trinity, but he chooses to go against what Harry tells him to and learns from Trinity instead. This is the overarching theme of this season in general. Dexter being under the impression that he doesn't need Harry's code and that he can be his own person.
He says that quite a bit. Dexter finally shedding the code. I don't know if I agree with that. That there was this long arc of Dexter shedding the code. Not as early as season 4. I don't think so.
Not to say that this is Dexter's fault at all. Harry is the one who trained him to live like this, but Dexter doesn't realize that until it's already over. While I wouldn't say this is the episode to put it on display the most, it's definitely up there. Harry continuously tells Dexter throughout the episode that he needs to focus on killing Trinity, even while right next to the guy. But Dexter says no. I mean, there's literally a scene where Dexter has an axe and is 2 feet away from the guy in the middle of nowhere. If that's not the perfect place to kill him, then I don't know where is. But
yeah, see, this is where in season 5, you could have Dexter really torture himself with the amount of times that he had where he could have prevented something that cost Rita her life, and he doesn't. I'm not saying it needs to affect his character moving forward, but it could have been a thing where the show, the writers, they're acknowledging the fact that this is bittersweet irony here that Dexter wanted to play with his food a bit and it cost him dearly. But they don't. And this is what I'm talking about. Like, they introduce something that's really awesome, but they take such shortcuts to get out of explaining, fulfilling the potential awesomeness of that situation.
Dexter still thinks he can learn from Trinity. He wants to understand him as much as he can so he can savor the kill when it finally happens. What's so special about this theme and this season, in my opinion, is that at least for me, I didn't really understand how important this decision was until rewatching it for this video. It directly contributes to the death of Rita and Harrison being born in blood. Dexter instead makes a grave mistake and decides to go after a weirdo photographer who, while definitely a creepy-ass guy, ends up being innocent in the end.
Oh, number 4. We now have our 4th innocent on the Oops, Dexter's Infallible list.
I'll be honest, I'm glad Dexter did kill this guy because he's as creepy and insufferable as they get. And I'm sure the writers did this on purpose so we wouldn't dislike Dexter for what he did. But the scene at the very end where Dexter walked into the PD and realizes that he just put an innocent man on his kill table is so amazing. The show always does small twists like these so well, and Dexter's reaction is incredible. Props to Michael Hall as always. Another great scene I want to mention is earlier in the episode where Dexter's trying to catch the photographer at a club while Quinn is watching his every move. Dexter directs a woman to approach Quinn, making him sound like some super famous guy, which is really funny. What's also really funny is when Quinn starts talking to the girl and literally like 5 5 seconds later, he notices that Dexter is gone and just gets pissed immediately. Shit like this is what makes Dexter such an entertaining character in general. There's not much to say with the other plots here, besides Deb slightly starting an investigation into Trinity. The Dexter scenes here carry hard. Incredible character development throughout this episode. Number 41. Popping Cherry. I always got confused with episodes 2 and 3 of this show, since the one that's called Crocodile doesn't have crocodile in it, and the one with the crocodile in it is called Popping Cherry. Obviously, the crocodile episode is referring more to crocodile tears, but you get what I'm trying to say. It's very confusing. In this episode, we get more background on Dexter's first kill as a teenager, when Harry was on his deathbed and basically ordered Dexter to kill his nurse, who had been giving him dangerous amounts of medicine. I would take points off because of the absolutely awful attempt of making Dexter look like a teenager. They literally just put a wig on Michael C. Hall and said, yep, that's teenage Dexter. But it is admittedly really funny, so I'll let it slide. I just don't understand how they were able to get a separate actor for Dexter in his younger teens. But when Dexter is in his late teens, the best they can do is just put a wig on adult Dexter and call it a day.
But they could have just had him play him older too. Like it's fine. They do some weird things sometimes with casting.
Besides that, though, these flashbacks are honestly super cool, and it's great to see Dexter wasn't always the perfect killer he is now, and he had to learn a bit. Dexter is also a great...
Yeah, it's almost like if you're going to do something that takes place around here or before here, you should have him learning things. Not like what Original Sin did.
Partner in this episode, something you only see in like season 1 really. He kind of defends Rita when her car gets stolen, then drives her kids to and from school while also getting Rita a new temporary car at the end. This actually brings one of my favorite Dexter quotes.
Will this Benny Fairy come if I cry?
If I had a heart, it might be breaking right now.
And I do just want to add that Julie Benz is an incredible actress. Rita becomes a lot more comfortable in the next few seasons.
Yeah, look at how I don't know, with ponytail, not really jazzed up too much. They really take liberties with her look over the course of her character's life.
But here she's still super insecure, since she was just with Paul and doesn't know how to defend herself at all, really. And Julie Benz portrays that mindset super well here. Over at Miami Metro, Deb is finally a detective, and she's putting the puzzle pieces together on the ice truck killer case by using her friends that work on the street to give her some information.
Can't say prostitute?
When she finds out the kind of vehicle the killer drives, she of course goes to Matthews instead of LaGuardia, which makes Matthews basically scold her for not being as good as Harry. Matthews is one of those characters, like LaGuardia, whose likability basically just depends on the season. Here he's more neutral.
Damn, Switzerland.
While he is pretty unreasonably mean to Deb, he also sees that she has a point, so he talks to his favorite coworker Maria to try to balance the whole situation out. The one last thing I do want to mention about this episode is probably the best part. Dokes' subplot. Dokes is set on getting Guerrero and literally shows up to his daughter's confirmation and tells her that his dad is a murderer, which is honestly my favorite scene in this episode. Dokes does not give a fuck when it comes to killers, and that's why I love his character so much. But Dokes also clearly doesn't care much when it comes to cops, since he was having an affair with a woman whose husband and brother both were. Dokes is now seeing the karma of having that affair in full effect, since Kara's brother and his friends are now framing Dokes to try to make it look like he's fucking with Guerrero even more than he already is. And I thought Dokes was dead when this happened on my first viewing. Thankfully, he stayed a bit longer, but this is a great subplot to show that Dokes isn't a perfect cop in the slightest, and still has flaws. Amazing episode. Number 40. See-Through. This is a key episode for character development. Lila was introduced a few episodes ago, but here's where she really starts to shine. And Lila's moments of shine are her being annoying as shit. She's such a stark contrast compared to the vibe of the rest of the show. This episode is mainly about Dexter's inner monster, described word for word by his piece of shit father, Harry, who makes Dexter feel like he's not human in the flashbacks we get. Harry being aware that Dexter saw his mother be murdered too young, yet still deciding to say terrible shit like this to him when he's a little kid, is just awful. And it shows in his current self when Dexter
Hey, look, a thin tank top with a dark bra.
tries to block Lila out of his life because he thinks there's nothing she
A light tank top with a dark bra.
can possibly do to help his inner monster. This continues
I'm wondering if maybe they just used Lila's wardrobe for Hannah.
until Dexter shows Lila the corpses of people he's murdered. And instead of being freaked out by it, she's actually amazed and praises the Bay Harbor Butcher. This is the main reason why Dexter pursues a relationship with Lila, especially considering that Rita is insulting the Butcher in basically every scene she's in. Dexter and Lila's relationship pissed me off on my first viewing because Dexter just casually letting go of Rita felt stupid to me.
No.
But considering where Dexter was mentally at this point in the show, It makes perfect sense why he would do this. We have some subplots, of course, but most of them are just there to be there, and
Plus, she accepts him for who he is. He doesn't have to hide who he is for Lila.
develop characters a bit. Lundy tells Deb to get out more, so she takes his advice and has violent sex with this guy she met at the gym, showing she
Violent sex.
still feels very powerless and scarred from what she went through. Dokes deals with some guy from Special Ops that killed his own wife, which gives us some more background on Dokes' wife as well. This is a pretty depressing scene where both Dokes and Barnes talk about how their relationships ended due to their PTSD. But Dokes is forced to kill Barnes at the end, which is pretty sad to see. It's obvious Dokes didn't want to, and this further adds to his complexion as a character. Angel has a small subplot where the widow of a seemingly innocent victim of Dexter won't cooperate with him, until he uses reverse psychology to get her to admit that he had hidden guns. Solid subplot that basically just furthers Angel's skill as a cop. And finally, the Maria subplot, which is probably the best of this episode. The lieutenant is still freaking out about her fiance Ty Dolla $ign, who she thinks cheated, and she makes a scene in front of everyone at the PD, which prompts Matthews to give Maria her spot back. It of course wouldn't be a Matthews scene without some kind of racism or sexism, so it's pretty hard to root for Matthews. But it's also pretty hard to root for LaGuardia when 5 minutes later it's revealed that she was the woman sleeping with Ty Dolla $ign, which is such a crazy scene. Phenomenal episode for character development though. Number 30.
Okay. What the fuck? We have a season 6 episode this high? All right, so I'm pausing this. Here, because then if I break it up into 20s, it'll be 30, 30, 39 to 20, and then, or 39 to 21, and then 20 to 1. So, the middle part, the interlude, the intermission, whatever, kind of took up a significant chunk of this. So yeah, I'll cut these up so that it's the next 20 and then the next 20 after that. But yeah, the fact that there's a season 6, which is the season 6 finale. I'm curious to hear what his reasoning is. This is my thought process playing out exactly the way I cynically feel about a lot of the Dexter community. Season 6 has a great moment, like something that this cliffhanger moment in this mid-2010s Walking Dead era. Oh, let's give them something fucking awesome to sit on for the next 6 months before, they come back. And Dexter did that a lot in the later seasons. And I think if you take away that, ooh, Deb saw Dex committing what he did, is the episode at all that good otherwise? Which, until next time, we'll see what he has to say about that. But we're about just about 2/3 of the way done. A little bit less than 2/3 of the way done. The fact that there's still season 6 episodes in the top third, wild. Yeah, we've seen a lot of season 1 so far. For it being his favorite season, I don't know, like what Troy brought up earlier. It's hard to differentiate the slop in the middle. The worst is the worst, the best is the best. But like, how do you differentiate a B minus from a C plus, like with significance? How many 31s you have to watch still? Get on that, Charles. And that's why I'm ending this now. I have not watched. There's a couple of first time watches. I will rewatch Return of the Living Dead because, well, I let me rephrase that. I always rewatch this stuff. It's just when I do that is kind of important. I've never seen Return of the Living Dead 2 or Return of the Living Dead 3. So I'll be doing that within the week. I think there's a total of between 10 to 15 movies still. So I have a lot. The zombie stuff should be a bit easier to get through. The stuff that I haven't seen is where I'm kind of concerned. But you're right. You're right. I want to have everything watched within the week. By next weekend, I need to have everything watched, and I would like to have everything shot by maybe the 12th. I want to be done, video ready by the 20th. Because the last 2 years I've been early, and if I wasn't early in May, it would have been late because hospital trip. So I just want to be ready more than I want to show off at this point. And I'm doing myself no favors at the moment. I have to keep remembering your name is Charles, and it throws me off. My old roommate name was Charles. You can call me CP, CPO, whatever. There's so many different things people call me on the internet at this point. Will. I mean, shit, people call me Will. People who know my name is Charles will still call me Will because WILIscredia. I don't know. just don't call me late for dinner. All right. So with that said, we'll keep this going, but my schedule starts getting a little sliced up, a little trippy. I have to divide my attention a bit more delicately over the next couple of days. I have the stream where I'll talk about everything I watched for the first time in September. Kind of a big deal because I watched a ton of stuff at Fantastic Fest. All first-time watches, obviously. A Fantastic Fest summary video with maybe Gray and maybe Cody. Troy, yep. That is my current front runner. I'm kind of glad we didn't have Shaun of the Dead, because Shaun of the Dead in one cut, that would have been a really tough 1-2 for me. But one cut is the film to beat for me. I don't think it's going to get beat. But yeah, a couple of things that I have to clean up from September. Once that's done, it'll be done in the next couple of days or so. Once that's done, all hands on deck for 31 and 31. And then in November, we'll resume some of this Dexter, other stuff, whatever comes up over the course of the month. I would like to get this finished. There's 40 films left. I've been doing it when the missus has left, so we'll see how it goes. I can't give you a specific time as to when this starts. I apologize. I know this is very late or very early, depending on where you are. There's no proper scheduling for this. Click the link in the description. Give the guy a shout out. Comment on the video. Say, hey, Charles says you're awesome. Great job. Subscribe to the channel, so on and so forth. We'll